1 Samuel chapter 10, it says that Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance?" Samuel was anointing Saul as king. "When you leave me today, you will meet two men near Rachel's tomb at Zelzah on the border of Benjamin. They will say to you, 'The donkeys you set out to look for have been found.' And now your father has stopped thinking about them and is worried about you. He is asking, 'What shall I do about my son?'" Verse 3, "Then you will go on from there until you reach the great tree of Tabor. 3 men going up to worship God at Bethel will meet you there. One will be carrying 3 young goats, another 3 loaves of bread, and another a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from them. After that, you will go to Gibeah of God, where there is a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you will meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place, playing various instruments and prophesying. The Spirit of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into a different person. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, but you must wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do." As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart, and all these signs were fulfilled that day. When he and his servant arrived at Gibeah, a procession of prophets met him. The Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he joined in their prophesying. When all those who had formerly known him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they asked each other, "What is this that has happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" Basically, there was a heart transformation that took place in Saul's life. God and the power of God came upon him, and Saul began to be empowered in a greater way. It's an incredible picture for us that when God moves in our life or in an area of our life, God can supernaturally accelerate growth in areas of our life. And people look at us and go, "Was that the same Stephen? Was that the same person that I knew a few years ago?" There's a lot of things that God can do that, in our own strength, we can never do. Verse 12, "A man who lived there answered, 'And who is their father?' So it became a saying, 'Is Saul also among the prophets?' After Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place, and now Saul's uncle asked him and his servants, 'Where have you been?' 'Looking for the donkeys,' he said, 'but when we saw they were not to be found, we went to Samuel.' Saul's uncle said, 'Tell me what Samuel said to you.' Saul replied, 'He assured us that the donkeys had been found,' but he did not tell his uncle what Samuel had said about the kingship. Samuel summoned the people of Israel to the Lord at Mizpah and said to them, 'This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought Israel up out of Egypt, and I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you have now rejected your God, who saves you out of all of your disasters and calamities, and you have said, "Now appoint a king over us." So now present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and clans.'" So basically they had this big gathering. All the different tribes, there would have been, the 12 tribes, they would have each had their leaders, and then there would have been clans within the tribes. They were ordered and structured. And basically he's saying, present yourselves, and we will select a king today. When Samuel had all Israel come forward by tribe, the tribe of Benjamin was taken by lot. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, and Matri's clan was taken. Finally, Saul, son of Kish, was taken. But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. So they inquired further of the Lord, "Has the man come here yet?" And the Lord said, "Yes, he has hidden himself amongst the supplies." Verse 23, he was hiding. They basically told him he was going to be king, and he was hiding. Verse 23, they ran and brought him out. And as he stood among the people, he was a head taller than any of the others. Samuel said to all the people, "Do you see the man the Lord has chosen? There is no one like him among all the people." Then the people shouted, "Long live the king." Okay. Samuel explained to the people the rights and duties of kingship. He wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. Then Samuel dismissed the people to go to their own homes. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by valiant men whose hearts God had touched. But some scoundrels said, "How can this fellow save us?" They despised him and brought him no gifts. But Saul kept silent. Chapter 11, Nahash the Ammonite went up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said to him, "Make a treaty with us, and we will be subject to you." But Nahash the Ammonite replied, "I will make a treaty with you only on the condition that I gouge out the right eye of every one of you, and so bring disgrace on all Israel." The elders of Jabesh said to him, "Give us 7 days so we can send messengers throughout Israel. If no one comes to rescue us, we will surrender to you." When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and reported these terms to the people, they wept aloud. Just then Saul was returning from the fields behind his oxen and said, "What is wrong with everyone? Why are they weeping?" Then they repeated to him what the men of Jabesh said. Basically, some enemies of Israel had come to a city, were attacking it, told them that they had to surrender and pluck out their eyes, and they would let them live. If they didn't, then they were going to come slaughter them. These people pleaded for time. They said, we'll give you 7 days. And there was a time of peace for 7 days unless someone came to rescue the city. When Saul heard the words, the Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he burned with anger. He took a pair of oxen, cut them into pieces, and sent the pieces by messengers throughout Israel, proclaiming, "This is what will be done to the oxen of anyone who does not follow Saul and Samuel." Then the terror of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out together as one. When Saul mustered them at Bezek, the men of Israel numbered 300,000, and those of Judah were 30,000. Then they told the messengers who had come, "Say to the men of Jabesh Gilead, by the time the sun is hot tomorrow, you will be rescued." When the messengers went and reported this to the men of Jabesh, they were elated. They said to the Ammonites, "Tomorrow we will surrender to you, and you can do to us whatever you like." The next day, Saul separated his men into 3 divisions. During the last watch of the night, they broke into the camp of the Ammonites and slaughtered them until the heat of the day. Basically, they surprise attacked them in the middle of the night. Those who survived were scattered so that no 2 of them were left together. It says, the people then said to Samuel, "Who was it that asked, 'Shall Saul reign over us?' Turn these men over us to us so that we may put them to death." Basically, the people decided, wow, we like this guy Saul as our king. He's smart. He's strategic. He understands how to win a battle. He'll protect us. Who were the guys that talked bad about him? Yeah, who were they? We're going to kill him. Verse 13, but Saul said, "No one will be put to death today, for this day the Lord has rescued Israel." Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal and there renew the kingship." So all the people went to Gilgal and made Saul king in the presence of the Lord. There they sacrificed fellowship offerings before the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites held a great celebration. Saul was now king. Saul would now lead the people. Saul had helped preserve a city, and God had elevated him in the eyes of the people. And now we will begin to see the reign of Saul as Samuel would really kind of step more towards the background, and Saul would step towards the front and would lead the nation. It's going to be really interesting, all the stories that God shares with us, and I know that we'll all learn from them and apply it to our own life.